What's going on YouTube? My name is Venator, and in today's video we are going to be playing my favorite land dinosaur, the Allosaurus. The Allo was just released on Horde test this past weekend, and let me just say, the hype is real. I mean, listen to that. This dino is so much fun, but before we get into the action, I'm going to take you guys through how I grew my first full-grown Allosaurus, because growing one of these on the Horde test can be a huge pain. So hopefully this helps those of you who are struggling to grow this magnificent dinosaur. The first thing we are going to talk about is the map. The area I have circled here is the only Allo spawn, and for those of you that haven't played a new dino on the Horde test, cannibalism is rampant. My first few tries I got killed repeatedly off spawn by packs roaming around the area just looking for juvies to slaughter. And to make matters more difficult, the new hotspot is right next to the spawn. I call this area the Forks Plains, and it's right next to Forks Pond. The thing with this spot is, it spawns AI dibbles, so every large Allo and Rex go there to hunt and compete for those juicy AI dibbles because they are very key in successfully growing once you hit that sub-adult stage. Because of this, I recommend making your way to the South Plains Sanctuary, and I head there right when I spawn in. Now you will get there with low hunger, but that's a lot better than getting killed repeatedly off the spawn. After hitting the sanctuary, you're going to want to find a spot where AI is consistent, and so I moved to the south of Lagoon, as this is a pretty good area for AI with plenty of deer and boar. But it turns out I wasn't alone. These two walked right up on me, and all I could do was freeze and just hope they didn't see me. I don't know if they saw me or not, or if they just didn't care. But either way, I got lucky and I didn't waste any time getting out of these guys' area. After that close encounter, my next big hurdle was getting a boar down, which it's a very tough task, especially when you're a fresh spawn. As you can see, I nearly died from his attacks. Thankfully, after you get a successful pounce, you can just tail ride them. They'll only try to run away and you just keep spamming bites until they finally go down. And once I got him down, this boar would hold me over for a good while, especially since I needed to heal up and just stay safe while growing. Getting a boar early in your life, especially when you're off in a secluded area, makes growing an Allo much easier. I tried several times around the spawn area, but as I talked about earlier, cannibalism is rampant, and you don't get much time with the body before someone else comes along trying to eat it or kill you, or both. So moving to South Plains and West Rail is my go-to strategy for growing a carnivore. I also like to occasionally head back to the sanctuary and find some smaller animals to prey upon. But the only thing I found was this fresh spawn Rex, and sadly, no other carnivores are on your diet. So the only thing of value was the organs, and it was time to move on. Oh, and if you haven't heard, the Horde test crashes. A lot. I crashed probably 5 or 6 times during this grow. Once I was back in, I moved to the patrol zone in West Rail. Typically, West Rail is a very good spot for AI, but luck was not really on my side and my hunger was getting really low. Finally, I found a deer, and my travels were not for nothing. I was beginning to fear that I would starve here in West Rail. And after this one, I found a second deer and then a third deer. Before I knew it, I was full on food. Albeit I did not have the best diet, but hey, not starving and growing is the name of the game. And I would have stayed in West Rail for a lot longer, but I had a friend who had made his way to South Plains and was wanting to group up and grow together. So after I finished this deer, I decided it was time to head south and maybe I could find a boar to balance out that diet. Just as I was meeting up with my friend, I hit sub-adult and got my second mutation. I deliberated on taking the cannibalistic mutation solely based on how many cannies were out there, and personally, it never hurts to be able to scavenge another Allo corpse if you come across it. But I don't go out of my way to canny, and the mutation would only come in handy to scavenge. Nonetheless, I decided to take gastro so I can heal up after a fight. Having grouped up with my friend, we made our way back south, and as we were getting dangerously low on food, we came to the lagoon area where I had started. We found some boar and some deer, but we were both getting to the size where that alone would not keep us both fed, so we had a tough choice. split up, or try to find food together. Well, we decided to stick together and make our way to Highlands, hoping we would find anything to eat. Sadly, we had no such luck. My friend succumbed to starvation, and as I was right there with him about to starve, I had no choice but to eat his corpse, basically ruining my chances at a Prime Elder, but it was better than death and starting over. And then I finally made my way to the Promised Land, Fork Plains. This is the major hotspot of the Horde test from at least what I've seen, and for a very important reason. Those Dibble AI packs spawn right here, and that makes this area a gold mine for both Allos and Rexes. But before I could make my way to those Dibbles, I got jumped by a Canni Allo. I even typed in chat hoping that he would jump off and we could group up, but he didn't. And I really can't comprehend why solo players would want to hunt another solo player, especially when something like Allo is a pack hunter. Having a second partner, or even a third, just really helps your chances. But either way, we were fighting. And what this guy didn't know, and honestly I didn't know either, is that the Allo pounce is bugged, and trees don't knock you off. Or at least in this experience, they didn't knock me off at all. He jumped off me thinking he was going to get knocked off, which allowed me to get the pounce on him. And it just let me stay on. There was nothing he could do to get me off. And I kind of feel bad for him. It sucks for him, but you know what? That's karma for attacking me outright. But man, the Allo bleed is nuts. Just watch my blood meter as I'm pounced on this guy's side. It uses my stamina, which is kind of like sprinting, so my blood is just dropping like crazy. All I could hope was that he dropped before I dropped. And lucky for me, he did. Once you were around this fresh adult size, you're able to hunt Dibbles pretty effectively. Here, I thought this guy would be an easy kill, until his buddy showed up. Then, I had to run for my life. But what's crazy is that Allos barely outrun Dibbles. I honestly didn't know how much stamina either of these guys had, and I was afraid that they would run me down. So I really didn't have much choice here, but to turn and try and fight the second one and just hope that he would back off. And thankfully, since the Allo's bleed is so insane, you just really have to get one pounce on something, maybe two, and then any time that they sprint, it's going to drop their blood like crazy. So here, I just decided to tank a hit and then get that pounce on him, get a good bleed going, and then hopefully he would let me run off. And after getting this bleed on him, I should have stayed and kept running him, but this was the closest I had gotten to full grown, and I didn't want to risk dying. So if he was okay to call the fight, I was okay to call the fight. He chased me for a little bit, but then I imagine he noticed how fast his blood was dropping and decided that probably wasn't the best idea, and he sat down and called it off. Goodbye me. Once I healed up, I found this group of Allos trailing this Rex, but sadly, the Rex was mixed packing with the Stego, and this is just so annoying. I get it's the official servers and there's no rules, but stuff like this is just really against the spirit of the game, at least in my opinion. Nowhere in nature would a Stegosaurus and a Tyrannosaurus just casually hang out, but it is a video game, and seeing this, I decided this fight wasn't even worth trying to pursue. The Stego would just whack anyone that came close to the Rex, or the Rex would just crush anything that came close to the Stego. So I called it quits on this engagement. So I moved on towards the sanctuary by Delta, hunting AI where I could, and I finally hit full grown. At a nice 2.8 tons, the Allosaurus is to me the sweet spot of land carnivores, and it's not too terribly long of a grow. I think with the crashes and not a great diet, this grow took me about 3 to 3.5 hours total. Once you are fully grown, there's not too much that you have to worry about other than Rexes ambushing you and those obvious Canni Allo packs. But even as a solo, anything smaller than you like this Sarah is in for a world of hurt, and you are fast enough to chase down sub-Sarahs. Like this guy was just chasing some juvie Allos, and boy, the tables sure turned for him. But these Stegos blocked his path, and the guy was quick thinking on his feet, and he got on these rocks under the bridge where I could not follow him. Props to him, he was able to escape me for now, but we'll see about that in the future. He eventually came down and I picked up his trail, but I was not the only one. This Rex, I don't even know if you could see him, was doing a very good job at sneaking up and staying behind this guy. Once he realized we were both hunting him, he was boxed in and had no choice but to try and escape across the delta, but I was too fast. And unbeknownst to me, this Rex was just waiting to pounce. I got pretty lucky that the Rex went for him and not for me, because he probably could have got me had he tried. I got way too close to that guy. And finally, on to the main event, hunting some Tyrannosaurs. A large group of allos like this can decimate anything they come across. Granted, their game limit is 3, so once this releases to the live branch, you will be restricted to playing in groups of 3 if you play on petites like I do. But taking down more than one Rex, especially if you have a huge group like this, is very doable. And lucky for us, neither of these Rexes appeared to be fully grown, and we had several large allos, so really it was just a matter of time, circling and waiting for the right time to pounce. And this Rex gave me the perfect opening. I was able to jump on his side, and then everybody else just piled on, and we successfully had a Rex pinned. But his friend had something to say about that, and he came in hot, saving his buddy. And we tried to go for both, but when you're this close, the Rex can just bite whoever's on the side of his friend. As you can see, we all got a little uncoordinated here. I went in, got bit once, got bit again, and was like, alright, this might be a little bit more than we can handle, and I had to back off to try and heal. But then the server crashed. Once we were back in, I noticed this Rex had logged in as well, but he seemed to be AFK. So we wasted no time in going over to him and getting him pinned and executing him. I felt a little bad about this, but it's not up to me whether someone goes AFK right in the middle of a fight and then logs back in just to die. And I guess it took his friend a little longer to log in, because while we were feasting, he finally decided to come over and try and put up a fight. But I'm guessing he still had a heavy bleed on him, because shortly after, he disengaged, realized there is still way too many of us for him to handle, and he climbed up this rock just to sit here and just taunt us. After disengaging to regain my stamina and heal up a little bit, I just sat back and watched from afar as a couple allos were still around pestering him, and he finally came off the rock to try and put up a fight. But I think the damage was already done. He knew he was going to bleed out, and his fate was sealed. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the Allosaurus gameplay. There will definitely be more videos about the Allo, as it's still one of my favorite dinos, only second to the dino. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys next time, and happy hunting.